Recently, I've worked with a couple of business owners and helped them automate their marketing research activities, something they used to spend hours on. And in this video, I'll share the most effective techniques I've learned and show you how to apply these methods to research almost anything. Most of the tutorials online are very superficial and overpromise, so my goal here is to explain problems and show you the actual solutions. So let's get started. We will be using this platform called Relevance AI. This is a no-code platform where we can build AI agents and you can write a bit of code. We will need it later, but don't worry about it, and I will explain you each step. So let's first see how it works. And we have a company research and analyst. In my case, I decided to research a company that is basically what my clients were doing. So they used to spend hours doing marketing research and researching some potential prospects or some potential partners. And this agent, it generates report and it does that research automatically. So let's start a new task and see how it works in action. I will tell this agent to research, for example, N8N software. So I give it a task to research N8N and let's see how it goes. This agent started to use another agent in the background. So as you can see, we have a data collection agent, which is basically responsible for collecting all the data. We will later see another agent and one more tool which this agent uses. And meanwhile, we can see the whole conversation. So now it is the sub agent performs some of the steps for gathering the data. If we take a closer look, we'll see that it gathers some links. Those search link is also responsible for finding other links to other websites. And now it scrapes LinkedIn, Crunchbase. It will scrape some other information, reviews from Glassdoor, and it will also try to find reviews about this company on the internet and also find its pricing. And then it will gather all that data and also do an industry research. Let's wait a couple of more minutes to see the actual result. Okay, and now we see the final result with the whole research. So it says that this is a market intelligence report for N8N, and it has been generated. So our main agent tells us that it has completed its task. It says that it's an intelligence report. It even got the date correctly. I'm surprised about it. Then it gives us the executive summary about this company, that it is well positioned in a growing market, projected to reach, wow, this huge amount just in 5 years. And it was founded 5 years ago in Berlin, Germany. I never knew that N8N is a German company. And it showed me the employee range, gave me a brief industry analysis and key trends, market position, customer feedback, and conclusion. This one is not the full report, and if we go to our final agent output, the final agent produced a more detailed result that also left all those references. So looks nice, right? Inclusion, opportunities, risk and challenges, open source model, slower updates here, which is true. And now when you see the type of the report it can generate, especially this one, a more detailed one, then I want to give you a little bit more details on how it works. First, let's just think about the whole research process, because it may seem to be simple, but in reality, it's not simple. And when we start the research, first, we need to identify if we know some resources that we want to scrape and gather for that research, or we just want to do a basic research. And when you research a company, you usually know where you want to search this information. If it's a not publicly traded company, then you would usually go to, let's say, Crunchbase or LinkedIn. and you try to get information from those trusted sources because you know that they are trusted. For publicly traded companies, you probably would go to a company website, try to dig deeper into their reports. But what do we do if we don't have a list of resources? For example, we just want to research an industry overall. Let's say we want to, like in this case, research an automation industry. From where do we want to scrape that information? That is a challenge. Now we will look at how to do the scraping when you know the resources. Let's say, as in my example, we want to collect the data from Crunchbase, from LinkedIn, and from Glassdoor. Those are three resources, and fourth resource is a company website. So what do we want to do first? We need to identify the web links to those resources, right? And here is the first challenge. If you go to ChatGPT and you ask to provide you the links to those resources, now ChatGPT with web search, it will be able to do that, and it will return you accurate links. Here is the result which I've got for NA10. All the links for a website, for LinkedIn, for Crunchbase, Glassdoor, and I also try to get linked to G2 website to get the reviews. That works surprisingly well. But the problem here is that GPT with web search only works inside web browser, and it doesn't work through API. And if we want to automate all that research, we need to have access to APIs. So it is not an option in our case. The second method which I tried is to use Perplexity, and Perplexity is available via API. And first, when I started doing it and asked it to return me a set of links for NA10 in this case, it only returned me 2 links. By the way, just a couple of days ago, it worked a little bit better. I don't know what has happened since then, but it worked better and it returned much more links than 2. It usually tried to do its best and return those links. However, they were not always accurate. It's first. And second, what I discovered is that the actual UI for Perplexity uses a little bit different mechanism to retrieve the data than the API that they provide. So their API doesn't support advanced search, and it also doesn't allow you to pick different models. So you have only access to some online models, which not always give you the best results. I ended up still using Perplexity to get a set of links. But for those links that we don't find, we have to emulate basically human behavior. So what we do is we just ask Google to search for a link for that specific company, for that specific website. So for example, if we are looking at LinkedIn URL for that company, we will type N8N LinkedIn and it will give us the results. And then from the search results, we would use a language model. I use GPT-4o Mini to retrieve the actual valid link. Let's see how I have done it here inside my agent configuration. My agent that is responsible for collecting all the data, it has a set of tools. I will show it to you a little bit later on another diagram. And this agent has all those tools. And first one which it uses is company link gatherer. We can open this tool. We instruct our agent to use this tool when it needs to gather a list of relevant web links for a company research. And it usually just says the company name. And sometimes we need additional info. It will be filled in if we provide that information. For example, when I tried to research Relevance AI, then there is another company with a similar name, and my agent was confused about which company it wants to research. So we might want to give it a little bit more information. And let's say research, we want to research that Relevance AI company, which is a low-code platform for building AI agents. That is something that we can tell our main agent to research, and then it will use that context to find the more relevant information, right? And then we have I added that LLM step, which is a perplexity model. So I use this Llama Sonar Perplexity, an online model, a large one, and it is supposed to give me a set of links, specifically those 4 links for that company. And we instructed to research company, find up-to-date links to following resources. And we also say that if no resource found, then use empty string as a result. This will help with hallucinations. And if I go back then and go to our actual example, then we will see that this link gatherer found the website for NA10. But other links were empty, and in case those links are empty, then we use that method with searching this link in Google. And here it found us a link to LinkedIn for NA10, and this one was for Crunchbase. The result is the valid link for Crunchbase, and this one is for Glassdoor. The Glassdoor is a tricky one because it has all those numbers in it. So for example, a model may have an internal knowledge with, let's say, this link, and it can just guess this link correctly. But for Glassdoor, it cannot guess, so it is very unlikely that Perplexity will give you a valid link. And then this method with Google search helps us to find the actual valid link. And this is how this search link tool is set up. We again give it a company name. Then we tell it which website we want to search, and our agent figures it out on its own. We also give this tool a description of how an agent should use this tool. And then we have Google search. In this case, it will be NA10 Glassdoor, so we use those placeholders. Then we get the result with this Google name, and then we use a language model step, in this case GPT-4o Mini, to extract the final link, to analyze the results. So below are the results of Google search for the link to that website for that company, and we ask it to analyze the results and return one valid link and output it as JSON. This will help our model to find only one link. And then we obviously provide search results from the previous step as a context, and that's how it works. After we have all those links, our next challenge is to actually scrape the data. I have found 3 tools which can scrape almost anything, and I don't see many people talk about those tools. And usually tutorials are very simple and they don't mention those tools. Probably one of the reasons is that most of those tools which you now see on your screen became available via API only just a couple of weeks ago. There is a very nice video from AI Jason who shows how to use those tools inside code, but I haven't found any tutorials yet on how to use those tools inside low-code or no-code environment. So that's what I want to show you right now. First tool which we have is Firecrawl. This tool is an open source one, and it can turn almost any website into data, as it says on this main page. They have their own SDK for using it in code, but you can also use it as an API. Let's see their API. You have option to scrape, and they provide very nice options to not only scrape the whole page, but also to give a prompt and only get the information from that page that you need. If I go back to my scrape company Crunchbase tool, it received an input link, and the output is the whole information which I requested. It's not in the best format, unfortunately, but you see that name, description, very nice. Funding, last round, Series A, total funding raised, not available products and services, and so on. This is how this tool is set up. It again gets a link, and all it does is that firewall scraping. What we have here is actually it's just a post API to this URL, which we get from Firecrawl, from their documentation. So we use this script URL, and then we need to authorize our request. I haven't seen that many people know about this feature, but you can add secrets to your settings. Here you can add new secrets here, add custom API key, and then you are able to use it inside your tools inside Relevance AI. And then we said that we want to use this URL to scrape this URL, which we have in our input fields. Then we extract. This is one of the formats. From here, you have multiple ones. An extract is the format you want to use with your prompt if you don't want to extract everything from the website. In my case, I simply tell it to extract all the important information about company, founders, and funding. Instead of just scraping everything, I tell it that I want only main content, and yes, so this is a prompt inside extract. And I use absolutely the same method to scrape reviews from Glassdoor. So I have a Glassdoor URL here. It is another tool, scrape company Glassdoor reviews, and I use the same extract with Firecrawl, absolutely the same setup. The only prompt is different: extract last 10 reviews and overall rating. And that is also one of the tricks. You can tell the model that you want to extract only last 10 or 20 or whatever reviews, and you can guide it on which data to extract. The less data you have extracted, the cheaper it is to analyze that data, obviously. After I started using Firecrawl and I was very excited to use it to scrape all the data, I realized that it still has some limitations. For example, this is one of its limitations. It cannot get information from LinkedIn or Twitter or whatever another social media you have. So how do we scrape data from social media websites? We have another solution. It is called AgentQL. This is another scraping API. And this is a quick explanation of how it works and how to set it up. So it is the same. We need to make a request and we need to send some data. And unlike Firecrawl, this tool, this AgentQL, it also allows you to extract structured data. You can only specify which names and objects you want to extract, and it will do everything for you. And I use AgentQL to scrape information from LinkedIn. This is my tool, scrape company LinkedIn. Again, I provide just LinkedIn URL, and I do search with AgentQL. Yeah, we again need to pass our API key. And here inside the body of that request, I pass the type of information I want to extract. So I say that I want to extract data from this LinkedIn URL, which is the parameter name from above. And then I specify query, and this is just, you can write it using that AgentQL query language. So I say that I want to extract industry, HQ location, follower count, employee count, head count, whatever, and then also extract some posts from that page, extract text of the post, and engagement count. That is basically it. Unfortunately, it didn't work just a couple of minutes ago when I showed it to you, but it worked last time, and you can see the whole results here. So it is employee count, it has found employee count, followers count, finding data, which is also available on company's LinkedIn page, headcount growth, it didn't find, it is not available under incognito mode, then HQ location, industry overview, and there should be some posts, posts are also here with their text. And I guess engagement count, yes, it's also here. It extracts basically the whole page, and it has an option to scroll it. It has so much more than just making those requests and extracting data, but it is outside of the scope of this video. So if you want, just go to Agent SQL website and read through their documentation to see all the possibilities that they provide. And now to third challenge. So we also want to scrape pricing from our website. But for example, for NI10, the pricing can be found on the landing page. But for other websites, for example, for Relevance AI, there is no pricing on the landing page. And pricing is here on an additional page. But if we scrape the main page, then obviously we don't get the pricing from this one. And as a result, we cannot rely on Firecrawl and on AgentQL only. So there are two additional methods which we can use. The first one for finding a price, when we know that the information should be found on the main website, but we don't know if it is on the landing page or not, there is the following solution. Firecrawl has API to extract sitemap, and sitemap will give us a list of all website URLs, obviously, and usually they are descriptive enough for the language model to understand which of those URLs will contain the information that we need. And then from those URLs, we can scrape the data. Let's see how it is done inside an agent and how you can do it too. We have an additional tool for a website sitemap extraction. It again has website link as an input field, and then it calls API from Firecrawl to extract all the URLs. And then our agent is intelligent enough to understand which of those links can be used. And after that, it uses just basic web scraping. So it scrapes the whole page. But then we have another challenge. I ask my agent to extract reviews from websites. As a person, I would usually just go to some websites with reviews like G2 or Coptera for reviews on software products. But when I started building it, I learned that Firecrawl and AgentQL, they are not capable of extracting data from those websites because those websites have their bot detection policies. And they basically block those scraping tools, even though those tools have some anti-detection measures, but still those measures don't help with those two websites specifically. This situation can happen to you, right, when you want to scrape some data. What do we do in this case? In this case, we usually just search the internet. By the way, ChatGPT, with its internet access, it can somehow extract reviews from those websites, but we don't have that luxury. And after reading a couple of blogs, I don't believe that OpenAI will release website search to the API users because it is against the policies of those web search engines. For now, we need to just search the web. It is still quite hard because we need to plan that search, and we also need to extract not the whole data, but the real answer to that question from the website. And luckily, there is another tool for web scraping. It is called Gina. And Gina can help search the internet. First of all, it can do regular scraping like the tools we have already discussed. And it is super easy to use. You just append our Gina before the actual website URL that you want to scrape, and it will scrape it for you. Apart from just regular scraping, Gina offers this reader for web search where you can enter your query and it will search the information on the internet, and then you can use regular language model to find the answer to that question, but based on all that scraped information, right? And this is the tool, Search Web Gina, that I use for scraping. Let's see how I have set it up. It takes query instead of just a set of words like we did for Firecrawl. It needs a question, and I instruct the agent. Here we have the prompt for how agent should use this tool. I explain my agent that it needs to ask the question in question format as it would ask a regular human. The question should be comprehensive so that we know the whole context for that question, right? After that, we basically do one single request. It's a GET request. We append R GINA for reader and S GINA for search. So append this one. We again need to authorize our request, and it will return all the information related to this question from the web. And then we need to provide that context and ask a language model to extract to find the answer to our question. So we again put our question here, we put scraped data, and we instruct our language model. In my case, I used Gemini because it's cheaper and it seems to work very well with long contexts. I say that we need to find an answer to this question based on this scraped data. And if we look into the logs, for example, this one, if we ask for customer reviews, it managed to find some reviews on Trustpilot, on G2, on Product Hunt, and on GitHub as well. And I've noticed that there was no actual question here, so we probably need to, I need to instruct my agent a little bit better on how to use it. But for example, pricing details, it has found the information. And that is how we set up the search. At this point, we know how to find information from some specific resources. We know how to find information on the whole website. Like pricing, when we get first sitemap and then we extract data from based on that sitemap. And now we have another challenge when we want to research the industry. Let's say we want to research the industry of NA10. It is low-code automation platform for building AI agents, or like Relevance AI, it will be again another low-code platform for building AI agents. What type of information do we want to search? It is hard even for a person to plan that research. We potentially can create an agent that would generate those queries, that would research, again, scrape the information from the internet, and then provide a report. But luckily for us, there is already a tool that can do it for us, and it is called GPT Researcher, this one. Unfortunately, it is not available via API and you need to write some code. It is an open source project. And if we scroll a little bit, here is the architecture, exactly what I have just described. So there is a task and there is an agent that plans how to accomplish this task. Then there is a researcher that scrapes the internet. And then there is a final agent that uses all that information and publishes it. But I want to also highlight that unlike the agent that we are currently building, where we specify which sources we want to specifically use, this agent is not that flexible. It is more flexible when you have access to the code and when you actually use it in code. But if you just want to use it via SDK, that is what I wanted to show you. This one, the pip package, and you can easily use it. You just need to install one tool, use this like similar sample code, and it will return you the whole report. How you can do it, you don't necessarily need to run that code on your local machine. You can do it inside Relevance AI. This is my GPT Researcher tool. From what you see on the screen, we give it a topic that we want to research, and again, I instruct it to use this tool to perform a detailed research on a given topic. In my case, I use it to perform the industry research and return the report. Here is how I structured it. You need to add GPT Researcher package. This is the name of the package, this one. Then you just import some tools, and you need also to set your API keys. This GPT Researcher uses heavily API key. It is another internet search tool, which is kind of similar to what we have seen with Gina. It has been available for a long time, so you will also need to have some APIs there, and they have some free tier, so you don't need to pay for it until you start to do it more frequently. And so you also need your OpenAI key, and then I copied basically what was here in an example. Let me quickly walk you through it. We simply import the researcher. It was my experiment, so I tried different tone of voice. It has some presets for tone of voice, and I use analytical one for this example. And then we just have a function to get a report. We initialize our researcher with query with the report type and tone, and that's all what we need. Then we start the research process, and after the research is finished, then we write a report, and we basically get our query from the topic which our agent has specified. The report type is research report. It is the one by default, and tone analytical, and as a result we get the file. And because agents have hard time understanding long context and they wanted to have the whole research, then I save this report to a CSV file and just return a link, and then that link will be used by another agent, and another agent will be able to extract the whole report from the link. I hope it makes sense. Let's take a look at the logs. And this is the example for our workflow automation industry analysis for NA10. This is the example. Obviously, it is not in a nice looking format because it's a CSV file, but we don't actually care about this file. You still can copy it and view it, for example, in Notion or in another tool that understands Markdown. Now, after I have shown you how GPT Researcher works, we are ready to combine it all together into one agent, into multiple agents, but into one tool. This is our final architecture. So we have our company research and analysis agent, which is responsible for communicating with us. We give the initial task to this agent. And this agent has access to 3 different tools. To screenshot taker, actually you don't need to have it here because I have it down below. Then it has access to GPT Researcher to perform the industry research. You have report generator. Yeah, this is the one which I haven't shown you yet. Let's do it now. This is the report generator, the final one. So we have one agent that gathers all the data from predefined resources, and it saves all the data into a CSV file. We then have GPT Researcher that performs industry analysis and saves it into another file. And then we have those 2 files, and we want to generate the final report based on those files. In order to do that, we have this report generator agent, which can take the objective for the report because it needs to know what it is generating. And then we have sources. Sources in this case are URLs to files. Then when we have those URLs, we need to extract the text from them. I added a loop through those sources. If you don't know how to do it, here it is. And for each loop, you will have it here. Now I have disabled, but when you add a new one, you have this here, enable for each loop. Then we loop through those sources, and we use this step to convert. I guess it's a default one, but let's see. Convert a file to text. Yeah, it's an internal tool of Relevance AI, and it will be able to extract the data. So we will have the text. And then again, I use Gemini 1.5 Flash. I have heard very good reviews about it, and from my experiments, it also works well, and it preserves the context very well, so it doesn't lose some data, which we have and it is crucial for generating a comprehensive report. As you can see here, we have this large language model prompt, and we give our agent, which is tool, but I say agent because it behaves as an agent. It has a role. It is an AI agent tasked with writing a report. You can read it on your screen. I say that I want an output to approximately 2,000 words long and in a markdown format. Then I give it an objective, which our main agent passes to this one. And all that collected information, this one, it comes from the file to text result. When you run this tool step by step, you will see which parameter you need to use inside the language model and which one contains the actual extracted data. If we look at the logs, you will see the report which I have shown you at the beginning of the video. And this is in a markdown format. It is structured well. It has all the points, bullet points, information, sources, factual information, which I asked it to do. Wow, it even included some enterprise-grade features, which is cool, which I wanted to have, but not always had it in my final report, because I don't specifically ask my initial agent to return those features, but I instruct my agent to return anything that can be useful for market research. Going back to the architecture, we have here the main agent with this report generator. There is also one sub-agent. It is not seen here. When you build an agent in Relevance AI, you have an agent profile, tools, and sub-agents. And if I now open my company researcher and analyst, then I click here to configure it. Then you can see the core instructions again. And I give a role, an objective. It doesn't matter actually if you write them in a markdown format with headers or you put it inside those tags. And this agent, so I give this agent the main objective and tell it what to do. And then I also tell it how to behave and which tools are available. You can add those tools by adding slash and adding those tools. But before that, you need to add them inside tools and inside sub-agents. And after they are there, you can reference them inside core instructions. So I tell this agent that it has access to GPT Researcher, to report generator, and also to data collection agent, which is another agent. You see, there are tools and there are agents, and they are different tools run by themselves. And agents, they are instructed just by giving them a prompt and giving them tools. I also describe the overall process here, and I tell it that it needs to analyze user query, then it needs to use another agent to research the company, then call GPT Researcher to perform that industry analysis, and after that, call the report generator to generate the comprehensive report. If I go to Flow Builder, here it is empty. This agent is quite simple. It doesn't have a lot of responsibilities, so it's able to understand on its own what to do. It is also important to go in advanced settings and set a language model to 4.0. 4.0 is much better for any agent than 4.0 mini. 4.0 mini doesn't always understand what agent needs to do, and you have more errors than with GPT 4.0, with the main one. Even though it's a little bit more pricey, but you'd better use that more pricey model for that. The agent that does like 60 or 70 or even 80% of all the work is this data collection agent. It has many more tools than company researcher, and it also has an additional sub-agent, which I haven't mentioned before. Let's go back to this data collection agent. Here it is. And if we click on configuration, this one also uses GPT-4o. It is important. Then it has all those tools. You can set tools to auto-run or to approval required, and by default you will have approval required, but if those tools are simple, I would suggest you to switch it to auto-run, as I did. I only did not switch it for GPT Researcher because I wanted to make sure that my agent understands the industry, and I just wanted to be able to monitor what it does and approve it before it actually starts that long couple of minutes long research. Sub-agents are set here inside sub-agents. So there is an objective competitor monitor. When you set up a sub-agent, you also need to give prompt for how to use this agent. In my case, yeah, I told it's quality assurance agent. It has different name here. Never mind, it doesn't matter how you call them. What matters is how you instruct your agent to use the sub-agents. And we said for this one, I instructed to pass the objective and current collected data to this agent to gain feedback on the data quality and identify gaps. And also I added two additional fields so that my main agent, that data collection agent, knows what to pass and never deviates from what I want. So it has an objective and data, and then a template for communication. The main agent will tell, I have collected the data for the following objective. It then will pass the objective, and then it will say the data I have collected, and then it will pass the actual data it has collected. That is the main idea. And obviously inside your agent core instructions for that agent, you explain how to use that sub-agent. Why I did it? I realized that at first, when I instructed my agents to find all that information, and let's say it scraped the data from a Crunchbase, from LinkedIn, because it has all those tools, and they are quite specific. So my agent was able to understand that it needs to scrape the data using those tools. But then when it needed, let's say, to extract the pricing information, it scraped the main page, and it saw that there is that free plan, and it assumed it is enough. It didn't continue the research. So I realized it is a problem. We needed an agent who would monitor the results, who would assure that the quality of information is good enough, that there are no gaps. And that is why I have that quality assurance agent. If we look into their communication, my objective competitor monitor, that quality assurance agent, basically forced the data collection agent to get more information. And my agent, the data collection, said that I have collected the data for the following objective, which comes from the template for communication, collect comprehensive report, including pricing, etc. Then the data I have collected, and then it sends all the data it has collected. And then my objective competitor monitor agent, call it assurance is much better name, it responds, here is the feedback, these details are complete and accurate, etc., etc. And then for pricing, the information is missing. So you see, it says the information is missing for pricing. Consider visiting this website. It provides some guidance on where to find this information, what needs to be done. And I found this design pattern to be very useful. It would possibly be also an option to send the collected data to the company researcher and analyst. But then if you think about how it is done inside big companies, you usually don't have a boss to verify that everything is right. You have some other QA specialists who monitor the output and who know how that output should look like. That is the reason, and also my QA agent, it has only one single responsibility to monitor the comprehensiveness of the data. It worked pretty well in this case. Also, while working on this agent and seeing how it performs all those steps in the background, I realized that sometimes it doesn't follow the path which I explained it to follow. So it doesn't follow that whole process correctly. And for that reason, I added Flow Builder. And if we take a look at Flow Builder, it is very similar to what I described inside process, inside prompt. We start here, and then I instructed to extract the company data for research, then get a set of links using this company link getter. Then if links are missing, then use search link, then scrape data from those search links, and then use your quality assurance agent to monitor and verify that the data is complete. And if data is not complete, then use website sitemap extraction, extract data from those collected pages, and then again use quality assurance agent to verify the completeness of the data. And if the data is still not complete, then use Gina to search the remaining information on the web. And then we save that data that we collected to a file and return the link. That helped a lot. After those instructions and after building the flow, my agent started to be more reliable and producing much better results. I hope that I haven't missed anything and it is clear how all those tools work. I will most likely share the link to the presentation, so you will have all those screenshots as examples and you can use them. I will not share the actual templates for this because it's quite complex, and I believe just that it's better to learn from doing. So start doing it and you will figure out how to build those things. Watch my tutorials, watch other tutorials on YouTube, and you will gain a much better understanding once you start building those agents. I have not yet mentioned Screenshot Taker. The Screenshot Taker is quite a simple tool. I have found one API that allows to take screenshots. Obviously, we can use screenshot takers from Gina or from Firecrawl or AgentQL. All of them return screenshots. It is possible, but I started using another one, API Flash. It is so simple that I decided to use it in my agent. Another tool which I have not yet mentioned is Save Data. It is a basic tool that gets raw data and saves it to a file. As you have already seen, you need always to specify the prompt for your agent on how to use these tools. And you also need to provide a detailed description of your inputs and how to fill them. And now a couple of words about pricing, because it is the topic that worries a lot of people, especially those who are just starting using agents. Let's take a look at how expensive it is to run or how not expensive it is to run. You can see it already on the screen. First, the tools for scraping: AgentQL, Firecrawl, and Gina. So AgentQL has tiered pricing, but it also offers to buy some credits and do request-based pricing. So they charge just 2 cents per request. In my example that you have seen, I use just one. I use just one query, and you get 50 requests per month for free. For Firecrawl, they also give some initial credits for you to give it a try, and after that the price goes up to $19 per month, which includes 300 queries, if I'm not mistaken, which makes it the cost of one query is below 1 cent. Super useful and super cheap. For Gina, it is $20 a month for 1 billion tokens, so they have that token-based pricing. The approximate translation to requests is, again, less than a third of a penny for one search right? So the total for all the scraping is around 10 cents. The most expensive part of that agent setup is actually GPT Researcher. It uses GPT-01 for reasoning. You don't set it up by yourself. It is internal if you use that GPT Researcher package. And I can show you, this is my dashboard for OpenAI credit usage. Basically today I used only this setup and it was around 70 cents to run that all agent flow. So here I put, it is always around like 50 or 70 cents. And then you need a Relevance AI subscription if you want to run it on scale. My current setup takes 50 credits, and if you are on a free tier, you can only run it twice a day. But the basic tier is $20 a month. I don't know, not everyone has this tier. I luckily have it. So when you divide it by the number of credits that you have, then one run of this agent comes to around, again, 10 cents. And the final report that I produce with the help of Gemini, so I pay for using Gemini 1.5 Flash, but the cost is super low. I don't even know how much it costs, but it is probably below 10 cents. Again, for the whole setup, even less. So I think that it's negligible. If you calculate everything, the final price will be just around $1, which in my opinion is super low, especially given the amount of effort and time it saves to companies. The companies whom I help to implement similar solutions, they spend a couple of hours doing some similar research, and if you take an average price of $30 to $50 per hour for a person to do that research, then it makes a report like this be worth up to $100 for a company. And in this case, you basically just pay $1 per report, and you get it not in 1 or 2 hours, but you get it in around 5 to 10 minutes, which is, in my opinion, super useful. And I'm very excited about the future where we will be able to research everything with AI and rely on AI to scrape all that data. If you have some projects like that in mind, I hope that my video was useful. And if you don't want to build it yourself, but you need help with building those solutions, then feel free to reach out to me via LinkedIn. You can find me by name, or via my website and email that you can find on my website. I will be happy to hear what you think about those agents. And if you have some questions, then also feel free to share them below. I promise that this time I will respond to your questions and will not forget about you. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next video.